Hey everyone, this is Sarah Knight. Happy Thanksgiving week. This week's video is all about Google Calendar, so let's jump in. I am logged into the Google Chrome browser and I'm going to go to the App Center in the top right hand corner and click on Calendar. In this video, I'm going to show you how to view your calendar or other calendars, how to create events, and just overall use of Calendar so that when the migration is complete, December 7th, you'll be ready to use Google Calendar. Okay, there are kind of two sections of Google Calendar. On the left-hand side, under the overall month view, you have My Calendars and you have Other Calendars. Google, by default, creates a primary calendar and names it your name for your Google Calendar. So you can see mine is right here, Sarah Knight. The default color is blue. And this is a calendar that you just cannot rename because it's a part of the default settings in Google. You can also see under My Calendars, I have a couple other calendars. Well, My Calendars are all of the calendars you can view and modify. So where you have a primary calendar provided by Google, you can actually create other calendars for other events if you so choose, as well as be given permission from other people to modify their calendars. So that is all My Calendars. I want to take a moment real quickly and talk about just calendar settings. By default, Google turns on public viewing for all calendars in a domain. I don't know why, but that's the default setting. If you're not comfortable with everyone in our domain knowing the details of your events on your calendar, you will want to go in and turn that off. So let me show you how to do that. All right, so I have My Calendar up, and I'm going to go to the gear in the top right-hand corner, click on Settings. In the top left-hand corner, now I'm going to click on Calendars, and then you can see my primary calendar, Sarah Knight. I'm going to go over here under Sharing and click Shared Edit Settings. This is the default setting for Google, that this calendar is shared and anyone in our organization can see all event details. If you're one that values your privacy, you'd probably want to change this. Here are your options. You can leave this calendar shared with others, but you can actually make this calendar this calendar with everyone in the Nixa Public Schools organization. You can actually share it to FreeBusy. So under this setting, any event you put on your calendar, the details will be hidden for others to view. They would only see that you have busy parts of your day scheduled. If you do not feel comfortable with that FreeBusy option, you would actually just click right here to deselect Share this calendar with others. And when you're finished, you would hit Save. So I don't mind doing FreeBusy. I'm going to leave that as my saved option, and then I can go back to my calendar. That is something you want to immediately. You could go in there and do this now before the migration is complete. Change that viewing or that sharing setting to the setting you feel most comfortable with. Okay, so back to My Calendars. Google Calendar is amazing in that you can layer calendars over one another and view events for multiple calendars at once. You can see that the colored tile beside my name is in view now. To view another calendar, I'm just going to click the outline of the tile by the Connected PD calendar. You can see when I did that, it added the Connected PD calendar events over the top of my primary calendar. You can do this with multiple calendars. You can see as I click through, or as I hover over each calendar, that each tile has a different color. So if you don't like the color, that is a customizable option. I could change my calendar to pink, and I could change the Connected PD calendar, because I own that calendar, to green. So it's whatever colors that you prefer on your calendar. So to deselect a calendar that is in view, you would just simply click the colored tile again, and then you're back to only viewing the calendars that the color tile is showing. All right, so the same thing works for other calendars. Other calendars are actually only calendars that you can view only. So that might be resource calendars, activity calendars for your school, but also it could be outside of the Nixa domain calendars. So let's say that I have a personal Google account, and I share that calendar with my school Google account. That personal calendar will be listed under Other Calendars. All right, so with your calendar in view, you have many options. You have in the upper right-hand corner, day, week, month, 4 days, and agenda. And that's just a really great feature so you can have a quick view or an overview of a longer period of time. Also, you can click on more to print your calendar, refresh it, and then back in the gear settings, you can change a few more options. So now let's talk about how to create events on your calendar. There are a couple of ways. The quick ways are to either hit create, I'm going to go back, or click on your calendar. Now you notice that that was two different really options of how to create an event. It is just depending on how much information that you want to include in each event that you create. In this option, I can just put in really quickly what the event is. So let's say Thanksgiving. It's added to my Sarah Knight calendar, which under this calendar drop down you can see that I've got all of the calendars listed that I have permission to modify. So I could just quickly add that to any of those calendars. And then I can hit create event. Or I can go to create and it brings up this large menu of very specific details that I can put into each event. So I'm going to put in Thanksgiving bowling because that's our family tradition. And I'm going to be able to change many details of this event. So I can actually click on the date and it will pop out a calendar and I can choose the date. I can create the start time and end time. You'll notice that the default for an event is an hour, 2:30 to 3:30. That is something you can change in settings, which I'll show you later in the video. And then, of course, the end date. If you want the date to be all day, you could select all day. And then also, if you'd like the event to be reoccurring, you can select repeat, make your reoccurring settings, hit done, and then that event will reoccur on your calendar. You can also put in a location. Google Calendar actually works with Google Maps, and in the settings, which I'll show you again later, you can put in your zip code and it will actually find places within your area. If you don't do that, it will just be global. So if I put in Nixa, it's going to choose all of these things labeled Nixa. I'm just going to put Nixa, Missouri. Also, you could just do a personal place like Aunt's house. So that is your kind of location options. Let's say that you create an event and it's for a Google Hangout. You can add a video call, which puts in a Google Hangout link into this event. And then if you share that with guests, they have the link and they can join the Google Hangout. I'm going to remove that. Under calendar, these are all the calendars that I can add events to, so I can modify, make sure I add my event to the correct calendar. I can put in a description, add an attachment, change the event color. I love this because I live by my Exchange notifications for events. Google Calendar has notifications. You can either have it as a pop-up or an email and the time designated that you want to be notified. If you do a pop-up, you'll get an audio notification as well as a small pop-up screen prior to your event. At the bottom of the event, you have show me as available or busy. So you can mark that for any event, and then you can do visibility. So this is this kind of relates to the setting I talked about, just what you're comfortable with. You can go with the calendar default. Well, I have mine on free busy. So anyone that is able to view my calendar will see when I'm busy. I can make the event details of just this event public or make the event details of just this event private. So this visibility option is just by event in this view. I made my whole calendar visibility setting earlier in the video. So it's important to know the difference. So it might be that I make my calendar view for our domain free busy, but I want to make certain events private. So it's just, you know, the level of comfort you have with the visibility on events. The next part of an event is whether you have guests or not. So let's say I just start typing in Michelle Dry, and you'll notice that it starts auto-populating all of the words that associate with the word Michelle. It's important to know that that auto-populate list that comes up are all of our domain contacts, but also any contacts you've had just with this account. So any contacts basically that you've corresponded with, the name will populate here. So I'm going to go ahead and click Michelle, add her as a guest to this event. Guests can also modify events, invite others, or see the guest list. Now that I've made all of my settings for this event, I'm going to click Save and then Send. All right, so my event is on my calendar, and you can see it here. And then I can also see what kind of just quick notifications are set on that event by the icons displayed. So I've got a notification on this event. I have it that it's private and that I've invited guests. So all those icons represent those different tools that I've enabled. If I hover over any of my other events, you can see here's another icon. The double box is that it's a reoccurring event. So those are just great visuals for you on any event on your calendar. All right, so that's how you add events to your calendar, either by clicking the calendar or clicking on Create. You can actually do a quick add here, typing in the example is dinner with Michael, 7 p.m. tomorrow, and it will add that according to the text. Let's say that you need to create a secondary calendar to your primary calendar. Maybe it's for class events, school events, whatever the case may be. Under the My Calendars section, out to the side, there's a drop-down menu. If you click the drop-down menu and click Create New Calendar, you will be able to create a new calendar. You'll give it a name, a description, and the sharing options. And then if you want to share this calendar with someone else, you could actually type their name in here. So let's just say that this is the tech department calendar. I shared it with Michelle Dry, and then I can set her permission settings so she can see all of the events, make changes and manage sharing, make changes to events, or see only free busy. So I'll just add that and then create the calendar. All right. So there's that calendar that I just created. It's a really handy tool to be able to create secondary calendars to your primary. All right, the last thing I want to go over is just a few extra settings that you may want to change when you start using Google Calendar full-time on December 7th. In the gear, I'm going to click on Settings. And under General, I'm just going to go through these briefly. You have language, country, your time zone, the date format, the time format, events from Gmail, you can have it add automatically. Default event duration, I mentioned that earlier that it was at an hour. You can actually change that to any of those options. Leave mine as an hour. Which day your week starts on. If you want it to start on Sunday, Monday, or Saturday, whatever your preference may be. You can show a warning to other people that invite you to an event outside of your working hours. Event dimming. The calendar in Google by default dims all of your past events and keeps your current events and future events in that bright, vibrant color. So it's just a visual that you may or may not like, so you can change those settings. Show weekends in week and month view. Default view, I've got mine at a week. The custom view you can change. So right now it's at 4 days. This is where I was talking about location. I can actually put in our zip code, and then that will pull locations from Google Calendar for my events that are within that kind of area. And then any of these other options, show events you've declined, automatically add invitations to my calendar, alternate calendar, and then enable keyboard shortcuts. So those are important settings that you might want to take a look at, explore, and just see what your preference is for each of those. So Google Calendar is a great tool. Again, you can layer calendar over calendar. You can see events in multiple calendars, creating events, sharing calendars. Go ahead and just be in Google Calendar. Take a look at it. Look at the settings, but remember to continue to use Exchange for mail and calendars until December 7th when the migration is complete. If you have any questions, feel free to leave those on the Google form linked below this video in Staff Communicator, and I hope you have a fantastic Thanksgiving.